What's good, combat sports fans? You already know it's your boy Bando back at it with another episode. Tonight we are talking about the fate of the welterweight division, the fate of the heavyweight division. After both of these big title fights happen tomorrow night, what can happen on either end? Whatever outcome it is, what is the future of those divisions looking like with either outcome? And also, Dana White came out with the UFC Sphere, the official card for the UFC Sphere. So, let's talk about it. We got some stuff to discuss. Let's go. Like I said, welcome back to another episode of Combat and Kick It. So, I wanted to talk about the fate of each division. When big matchups like this happen, when championship matchups happen, there's always a twist and turn that can happen in the division off of one outcome. So, I was thinking in my head today, like, what would happen if both Bilal and Curtis Blades walked away with it? You know, what's the fate of both of their careers and the fate of that division looking like if both men walk away with the belt? Now, obviously, we kind of already know what's going to happen if Leon retains the title. We already know what's going to happen if Tom Aspinall retains the title. Or we assume we know what's going to happen with Tom Aspinall. That's a confusing subject to begin with. But if Tom wins tomorrow night, right? No matter how, if Tom wins, there is only one fight to make above that right now, and that would be the John Jones or whoever wins between John Jones and Stipe. Realistically, John Jones and Stipe are going to fight, and Stipe is going to retire the second they finish that fight. In my mind, I don't see any route of him continuing a career, and especially if he wins, lose, draw, it doesn't matter. He's not fighting Tom Aspinall. It's just not happening. But John Jones on the other hand, if he decides to not retire, if he does get the win, then that is the clear option for Tom Aspinall, right? That's what everybody wants to see. Now, obviously, if Curtis Blades walks away with the interim belt, look like he's number one contender to the guy that's going to fight John Jones. But is John going to stay if Curtis Blades wins? I know that's a weird question. Is John going to stay if Curtis Blades wins? I truly believe that the fate of this entire division comes down to this fight right here. Because if Tom Aspinall wins, right, you give John Jones, a guy that people have been saying could beat him, a guy where maybe John Jones' ego is tested a little bit to want to come in and prove everybody wrong, so you end up getting that fight. Tom Aspinall is a bigger name than Curtis Blades as well, so I think there's more to build. There's more that can be done with that fight. I don't 100% see John Jones sticking around if Curtis Blades gets the win. Yeah, you know, like, if Curtis Blades gets the win, right, and John Jones wins in November, or Stipe wins in November, regardless, whoever wins in November retires, right, then you just run this fight back one more time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just do it one more time. The first time was a broken leg. And same situation, too. Even if Tom wins this weekend, unless Tom gets a quick finish, an early finish or something like that, then, you know, you could possibly run that back if John and Stipe decide to call it quits in November. But the heavyweight division has been sitting, waiting to see what's really going to happen. And if you're like me, I'm tired of seeing an inactive champion at the top, right? Obviously, John Jones got injured. He planned on defending the belt against Stipe, but I bet you he would have defended the belt against Stipe and would have sat out a minute. We also wouldn't technically have Tom Aspinall as an interim champion and stuff like that. He'd still be having to build himself. So it's an interesting thing with this, but I'm tired of it being stalled out. We were stalled out for a while because of the Francis Ngannou negotiations. I give Stipe props. Stipe defended the belt when he was champion. You know, he did his thing. DC defended the belt when he was champion, or at least, yeah, he did defend it. Yeah, he defended it against Derek Lewis, and I think he even defended his light heavyweight championship after winning the heavyweight belt. So, I mean, activity matters. and John Jones isn't very active. It's the same thing that happened with the light heavyweight division. It's the whole reason why the light heavyweight division died and became so damn boring. I mean, realistically, look back at the time that the light heavyweight division got boring. Once the old guard was passed, right, it was just John Jones running everything, and there was nobody that was really giving him any run for money. The biggest things that were happening in the light heavyweight division were the fact that John Jones was popping for steroids and popping for other stuff. You know, that was the biggest thing that was happening until DC came in and the little rivalry between him and John kicked off. I think that kicked off and built up DC's career much more, because once John was on the sideline, DC took over that division and was doing his thing. So activity truly matters, and I'm tired of seeing divisions get held up, man. I don't want to see a division get held up, and especially not a heavyweight division. I get it, heavyweights need a little bit more time to recover, especially when they come off, you know, heavy knockouts or whatever the case may be. They're big dudes, they need a little bit more time to recover. I understand that, but once a year, you know, once a year for most champions is pretty normal, right? But I would like to see some of these guys defend twice. Sean O'Malley, and I'll get to that in a little while because that's part of the Sphere conversation, but Sean O'Malley's defending his championship again against Merab. That's 2 times 1 year. You know what I'm saying? That's impressive to me. That's impressive. And if he gets an easy win, which I don't see it being an easy route at all, but if he gets a easy win somehow, some way against Merab, who says he can't turn around again and do a third one in December, right? Alexander Volkanovski was a very active champion. Kamaru Usman was a very active champion. Israel Adesanya was a very active champion. Alex Pereira is a very active champion. This is the stuff that builds the divisions and makes things interesting, because now you're like, okay, you got Alex Pereira in this light heavyweight division. Who's going to be the guy to do it? Is there going to be a guy to do it? Is he going to continuously keep catching people with left hooks and dropping them? Is he going to beat everybody because nobody can hold him down and keep them down like they believe they can? You know, there's interest. There is interest. That's why activity is important. There is interest. So hopefully, with this Tom and Curtis thing, I feel like this is the start of the real heavyweight division, the real future of the heavyweight division, regardless of which way it goes. This is the real future of the heavyweight division, because once John and Stipe are gone, it's not going to matter. You know, that matchup's not going to matter at all. You know, this is what matters, because you want to see these two guys fight the future of the division, the top guys. So we're moving on to this next one. What happens if Leon and Belal? What happens after Leon and Belal? Let me tell you something. If Leon wins, the division continues to be stalled out in a way. If Belal wins, the division continues to be stalled out in a way. It's just, both men are picky. You know, I can see Belal, because he had to wait this long getting the title shot. If he won, picking his shots, saying, I'm not going to fight into this. I'm not going to fight until we fight here. And this guy, that I can see it. I can totally see it. I can see 100%. And Leon tried to do that to Belal himself. So I can see Leon also stalling it out, saying that X guy doesn't have it, he doesn't deserve it or whatnot. But you got to understand, if guys like Shavkat keep running up the division, or if maybe even if it's Ian Gary running up the division, you know, there's guys coming up in the future. I want to see Leon fight these guys. I really can care less to see Belal fight these guys, right? It's not me being a Belal hater, because the dude's not a bad dude. He is a talented fighter. Does he put on some boring fights? 100,000%, 100 billion, million, quadrillion, zillion%. That's just a fact. I mean, the decision king, Belal Muhammad, remember the name. 5 rounds. That's Belal, remember the decision. I'm sounding like such a hater, but it's true. It is true. You know, Leon is a decision guy too. I mean, we saw that finish against Usman, a beautiful finish, and this is, to me, what you want to see from Leon is more finishes like that. I want to see finishes, and it doesn't have to be the last 50 seconds, the explosive, unbelievable. But dude, your striking is way too good to be allowing these guys to come in and get past you. Right? I just don't understand it. You can't let these guys get past you when it comes to your striking. It shouldn't happen. And they're out here talking about Belal as looking like Canelo with the boxing. So if Leon gets pieced up tomorrow, I would be like, bro, are you kidding me? He ain't looking like no Canelo. Bilal ain't no Canelo, right? His striking may have gotten a slightly tad bit better than his last fight, but he ain't no. But what's the division going to happen? You know, what's going to happen in the division according? If Leon wins, that next fight is going to be probably Shavkat. There's nobody else that's interesting enough. There's nobody else that anybody cares about. The division is becoming stale, right? Unless Shavkat and Ian Gary fight and Ian Gary beats Shavkat, then that happens. But truly, I think Shavkat should get that next shot, and then you take Ian Gary and Jack Della Maddalena. You make that fight happen. That's a great prospect. Not even prospect matchup, but undefeated matchup type of thing. Guys on the come up doing their thing. That's a good matchup to make. But I think Shavkat would be next in line for Leon for sure, right? But you also have more to build off of Leon, right? So say Shavkat pulls out. Ian Gary is a great fill-in because that's going to be a striking matchup. Between Ian Gary and Leon Edwards, it's going to be phenomenal striking matchup. Back and forth with the striking, very technical and stuff like that. It's going to be interesting, right? With Bilal, believe it or not, with Bilal, I think Bilal's first defense would be Kamaru Usman. I truly believe that it would be Kamaru Usman because you know how styles make fights, and that's a fight that should have happened a while ago. I felt like that should have been the fight for Bilal to become #1 contender. If he would have got that fight and won, that would have been different. But I think that would end up being his first title defense, unless Usman couldn't make it at the time that they want to book it and they go the Shavkat route. But I can see Usman being the guy to fight Bilal next because, you know, it's a fresh guy now. Him and Leon fought three times already, so they're not going to run it back. And he's still one of the best welterweights we've seen. So a lot of people still don't think he's done. Still think he's got a lot of gas in the tank. He probably could do it at middleweight, but you know, if he's rocking with the welterweights, he's still in the top of the division, still ranked fighter. I can definitely see him getting the next one. I bet you if Bilal wins too, Colby Covington will pop out the woodwork, pretending like he deserves that shot now. Like that's his title, that's his division, this and that. I guarantee it. He's got nothing to say to Leon because he couldn't get it done when the time mattered. I don't see Colby ever getting a title shot again. I think now we are starting to look at the futures of these divisions. That's why I wanted to come and talk about this. You got Tom Aspinall. He is the future of the division. Curtis Blades isn't on his way out, but still, you know, like that's a matchup that tells me what can truly happen for the heavyweight division. With John Jones and Stipe, it's just a big matchup to watch. Whoever wins that fight to me is just a, you know, I don't look at that as the heavyweight championship. I look at tomorrow night like the heavyweight championship. And then besides that, with Leon and Bilal, you're looking at the future for the welterweights, right? Because you have so many guys on the come up that want to crack at the title too. You know, you've gotten guys. This is the first welterweight championship matchup that didn't include Kamaru Usman or Colby Covington since 2019. Yeah, that's a fact. That's a crazy fact. Think if you really sit back and think about it, yeah, you're like, oh shit. Wow, that makes a lot of sense, right? So this really does open up the future, opens up a whole new door. If Bilal wins, it shakes up the division for sure. If Leon wins, I mean, I could see him becoming somebody who wants to pick and choose, but Shavkat's that guy. Or if somebody makes something special happen, you know, if there is a crazy win out there, a crazy phenomenal win out there, you never know who can cut the line when another guy is sitting out or you know, injured, hurt, whatever the case may be. Anything can happen. But that's the future of the welterweight division. Alright, so real quick before I end the video, like I said, I was going to come through talk about the Sphere because Dana White came through with the whole card. And I thought it was going to be a little better. First off, they're killing my man Diego Lopez. How many pay-per-view cards is this dude going to be on? Talk about activity. Talk about fucking activity. That's what I'm talking about right there. No, seriously, shout out to Diego Lopez, because Diego Lopez is that banger fight right before the co-main event against Brian Ortega. We're getting it. Officially, we're getting it. Now, look, it sounds like the UFC was scraping the last second for fights because this fight was not on the card. So Dana's been hyping the Sphere up for a whole year now, right? This fight wasn't even originally on the card. So you're telling me that the card was set before this fight. This card would not be living up to anything. It's not a fantastic card, but it's not a bad card. You got Sean O'Malley in the main event defending his title against Merab. Great fight. You got Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko, 3 in Dana White's words, because there was controversy in the second fight, which I don't remember much controversy. I don't know how close the fight was. I'd have to watch that back. But they're running that back for the title, so we'll see what happens with that. That's the co-main. Then you got Brian going up against Diego Lopez. Can Diego Lopez take a really fast rise into the top 10, top 5? Or is Brian Ortega going to stop this hype train? We'll find out. I fuck with Diego Lopez. I don't think he's just a hype train. I think he's the truth. But, you know, if there's a guy who could stop him, Brian Ortega is skilled enough to do so. I think it's going to be a really good jiu-jitsu matchup. That's for sure. Let's see what else got added to that card. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even know a lot of the other people that are on this. There are a lot of Mexican heavy cards, which makes sense. It's the Mexican card. It's the Mexican Independence Day card, so it makes sense. Totally 100%. They're breaking through. I mean, there's a dude on the card, Lazy Boy, who's supposed to be super good. Supposed to be a big star in the UFC for Mexico, so we'll see what happens with that. He's opening the main card. You have Irene Aldana, who's on the prelims. Surprisingly, she's on the prelims. But you know me, I'm a fan of Irene, so I'll be enjoying that fight. But honestly, it's a pretty lackluster card. It's a pretty lackluster card. Could have hoped for one more, bigger one on the main card. Some little bit bigger, but you never know. These fights can be absolutely phenomenal. But I think the thing that Dana was focused on the most was making sure that he got the whole Sphere so dopely set up that it's better than any other event that's been held in the Sphere. And I think he put way more focus in that than into making this card. And so far, it does seem like Ariel Helwani's predictions was going to be right, with this being the main event of September, October being Arman and Islam, November we got John and Stipe. I think they were also talking about like a two pay-per-view card in October, maybe having Ilya and Max Holloway. So that's pretty much almost official. I thought that was going to be on a Sphere card, but yeah, we do have a lot of good fights coming up, so I'm excited regardless. But you already know, stay tuned to Combat and Kick It, because I'm always posting videos, always posting breakdowns, reviews, and different stuff. So if you like the topic of MMA, if you're a UFC fan, if you're a boxing fan, whatever the case may be, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button so you know when the next episode comes out. And that is when I will catch you. Catch you on the next episode. Peace.